This is the correct one, right? Transcend affliction with Lotus studies. Episode 641.
Yes, correct.
Right. The four elements of high skandhas and its sufferings rage furiously. We'll come to that in the next slide. The flawless Dharma essence is a nourishment of wisdom and understanding. And I think this is what the main text of this episode. What is this? How do we gain this wisdom and understanding? And then Master went on to say the next line, which is look, listen, contemplate, and practice. And I will relate this four stages, if you like, to a sharing that I did very, very early on with this group, these four stages. So in Master's explanation, in this lifetime, four elements is suffering and five skandhas. And obviously, you all understand very well what these four elements are, and so are the eight sufferings. And also this relates to the fact that our six roots mixed with the six dusts, of course, and arising from that, we have this consciousness that in our mind, and so therefore that's the reason why we have affliction. And obviously in this desirous realm that we are in, and we would naturally have this tendency wanting things. And this tendency of wanting things would also mean that our mind is set in a manner that we want to do things the way we want it, with little regard as to what the other person feels. So as the way our body mind works is we only see things from a perspective. So in the same way as we look outside the window with the curtains drawn down, we will see imagining what we want to see. And or we just go through a narrow pipe to people, and that's got a very limited view. So because we don't have that full view about things, we will make judgment. And that's how our mind works, because our mind thinks. We judge. We judge based on what we know, what we perceive things to be. So if we were to be accommodating to others, by so doing, we can actually help to purify our past negative affinities, right? So if someone were to come in and we accept that, you see, in the course of our practice, we are supposed to learn karmic lessons. So we are supposed to learn these karmic lessons, and this person come to us, and we can accommodate them, even he will teach us patience and perseverance. And then we settle whatever karmic scores that person may have with us. So, and then at the same time, whether we're going to repay karmic debts or for us to fulfill the karmic responsibility we have with that person, and could be, and most of the time, the person is someone who is close to you. So by accommodating them and giving way in this life, we have the causes and conditions that allow us to reduce the balance of negative affinities. So we must cultivate precepts, and this is what the flawless study is about, samadhi and wisdom. And being accommodating also means that you're letting go your attachments. You can only accommodate others if you learn to detach. But that's when you learn to detach, and this is what getting rid of our desire is about. But that's not the total answer, but it is a step forward in our practice. So we learn to let go. So when we hear about things where you should not do, we cannot feel the slightest temptation to do them. And this is about keeping our precepts. And so there are some attraction we undertake, because in the precepts, we undertake to refrain from doing that, right? So all these precepts have been set up for us in our practice because the Buddha understood our mind, the way our mind works. So when we undertake to refrain, for example, for speech, whatever we may want to do, and say, oh, that's okay, it's a white lie, that's our mind works, and we want to have a slight edge over somebody else. And or maybe we don't want to we may not want to upset the other person. So as a result of which, all this temptation we have before us, we got to uphold those precepts. And once the Dharma is on our heart, we must not allow to ever leak it again. And this is where the Dharma will actually nurture the wisdom life. So we can take the precepts to be in stillness so that we not get influence that come to us. And then we uphold the Dharma so that it nurtures our wisdom life. And this is what this flawless Dharma essence that is about. So how do we then transcend these afflictions that we have? And obviously we do so by having this flawless study, or rather taken in the Dharma essence, so that we can nourish our wisdom and understanding. So whatever comes to our life, that you see, when you listen to Dharma, it's just knowledge, nothing more than that. No different from reading a book. Read the book, and that's, you will have the understanding, you have no knowledge. But to nourish the wisdom is to apply that in our life, and that is those are the challenges that we come across. So how do we then, for example, just upholding precepts? I wanted to refrain from things that come to us, but then we're going to say no, that's my son, or that's my daughter, and it's for us to. Therefore, I do it the way I'm going to teach them. But sometimes then you ask yourself, if the son or the daughter or the child is born to you, does the child belongs to you? Or is this no different from you being another consciousness? And so as we go to understand, obviously we have karmic responsibility to our child for us to fulfill, and as for us, discern that with the Dharma. But at the end of the day, the life of that child, does it belong to you? And this is what that belonging is about. And what is that belonging? What is that attachment that means to you? So wisdom life can help us understand all worldly matters, and we'll be able to become one with the entire universe and be able to eliminate our desires. So now all these things that we have in our worldly life, but we have, and we are in the desirous realm. So all the 6 realms that we are in, we are actually in the desirous realm. And then obviously there are all the other realms that we have to go up towards, the form and the formless realm. So Sister Wi-Fi has so articulated, shared that mentioned about the 2 other realms. So we must listen, articulate, contemplate and practice. By listening and contemplating and practicing, we see how our daily living is related to 4 elements and the 5 skandhas. And also this sense of objects that we have, that we obviously not just we are in the desirous realm, we're also in the form realm, because this is why we have the skandhas. And there's 4 elements that come to us, and that contact with the external environment mixed with our 6 roots, and here that will arouse our mind consciousness, and that mind consciousness have the difference. The important thing to note is that our mind consciousness has a karmic imprint, and that karmic imprint is the karmic seeds that will arise when the condition is right. And when that does happen, you see, when we are born, okay, let's look at that first. After we die, the 6 consciousness will die, then it will fall up to seven consciousness. Seven consciousness will also dissipate, will fall up to the eight consciousness. So when we are born, the eight consciousness will deposit the tendency into the seven consciousness before you come to the six consciousness, right? And that's where our six consciousness of our mind develops in the, when Master explained the 12 chains of cyclic existence. So when that develops, so when we draw in this tendency that comes in, that come from a seven consciousness. So then we could ask ourselves that in the learning the Dharma, which let me go back to the next slide, lessons learned. So when we cultivate, when we go into practice, what is it? Are we really depositing knowledge into eight consciousness? And I think we need to discern a bit more and to understand how it works, because as I said, knowledge it's just no different from reading a book. So then I think the question is, if we can deposit Dharma knowledge into eight consciousness, why can't you also deposit all the books that you read into the eight consciousness? If that is the logic behind that. So spiritual practitioners move towards the form and formless realms. I've already renounced the desire in visible and tangible things like fame and profit. And this is a question that Sister Moon asked. Obviously for us, when we desire can be get rid of. So if you have a chance to travel to India, and obviously this teaching, obviously in the Lotus Sutra, is also explanation of what the Buddha went through in his past ascetic practice, and that's what the practice was about in his early days before enlightenment. So what is get rid of this desire, and yet he couldn't attain enlightenment. And also, Master mentioned about this is to caution us in the course of our meditation, that if you meditate to the level that obviously we get rid of those emptying all our desire, we has not transcend through the formless realm. So then let's then understand what you mean by form. Form does not mean that there's no object. A thought is a form. So the formless realm are actually gone up to the level. The formless realms are very high level in the heavenly realm, where the mind has transcended form, but has not attained enlightenment. So even if someone has practiced to the level and to the high jhanas in the practice, and jhanas are the state of meditation, they go up to the level, it still hasn't attained enlightenment. This is what Master is trying to say, that if someone has a progress in the meditation, we must understand that it cannot be stuck and attached to that state of mind that, okay, I have attained peace because I'm desirous, but that hasn't graduated someone away from that state of consciousness that one can be enlightened. So therefore, we got to be very mindful that attain this right Dharma. So this state of practice we want to go out is to graduate away from all this, whether it's formless or desire. So then my last point I want to make here is to look, listen, contemplate, and practice. And this relates to early sharing that I shared with you all in knowing, understand, realizing, and practicing. You see, knowing and understanding, like I said, just knowledge. Knowing, someone can know something, but doesn't mean that he can fully understand that. So and understanding the purely a mental capability and mental capacity. If there's mental capability and capacity, which is in the sixth consciousness, it will die when we die. So where can that knowledge be deposited? If that is indeed the case, And that's why we had to grow towards realization and goes higher up. So if our practice is about detachment and letting go, why are we practicing to deposit more and more into our consciousness? So we need then to understand what is it this practice about, and this is what practicing is. And Master has in the past sharing already mentioned about purifying ourselves and also letting go. So we then need to understand when we realize and practicing, what is it that we are planning to realize and practice. So in contemplation, this is a contemplation from a teaching that was given by this Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, and I thought it resonates very well with this. Do not run after your thoughts. They are endless. If you do, you'll be like a dog fetching a stick thrown by the master. The master is your mind, and your consciousness chases after the stick, which is your thought. Don't we? That's what Master always say. With samadhi, that means you don't engage with your thought. But if we do, and all the time, as a special household, that we chase after the thought, which is long different from a dog chasing after the stick. So indeed, observe the arising of your thought. When you observe and does not engage in the thoughts, it arises and soon it will cease. And in the space of awareness, without giving rise to another thought. And that's the reason why I mentioned is the consciousness of awareness that we need to engage, so that we then understand when a thought arises, when we do not engage with the thought, it will cease. And that is what this space of awareness is about. So be in stillness like a lion that watches at the thrower. And why? Because one can only throw a stick at a lion once. On relationship, the character change is one that has grown in transcending affliction, in self-development with, and what is this transcending of affliction? Is a calmness in thoughts, gentleness in your speech, kindness in your deeds, cheerful in disposition, merciful in nature, and peaceful in character. Okay, Gan En, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, Gan En again. So much, Brother Chin, for the wonderful sharing.